This is Ruben Lowing. I'm in a business where there's a high rate of attrition. There's people sign and die. They, you know, they, you know, they paid their $100 so you won't bother them anymore, right? They go into the executive, the witness protection program, and it kind of reminds me of when I went through SEAL training twice. I was in class 133 and class 141, and went through Hell Week complete both times. Right. The second time, because I had the experience from the first time, I noticed some things. Like out of 120 guys that started class, that was the numbers for both class 133 and 141. In class 141, before breakfast Monday morning, 44 guys quit. Right. There was like class 133, 24 guys made it through Hell Week. Class 141, like 28 guys made it through Hell Week. I'm like, what made a difference? Why was it? Why they're all studs. They all had to go through extensive screening and interviews. I mean, you could not just anybody gets into SEAL training, right? So how can these high level, high achiever guys quit, right? Well, what I realized was where their focus was. Okay, and I know because of myself. They make you write this essay like Wednesday afternoon after chow, right? And they put you in this classroom and they turn the lights down, they turn the heat up, and if you fall asleep, you got to hit the surf, right? Turn on this soft music, right? And the first time, I didn't want to get wet anymore because I was cold, and I was shaking so bad you could hardly read my writing. But I was like, "This sucks. I hate this," you know. And and when they gave it back to me, I was like, really, I didn't like what I wrote. Then the second time, I was intentionally made sure I wrote a patriotic, right, essay. But what I figured out was the difference between the way I was thinking and the way the other guys were thinking is I was always looking for my reason why I was going to make it. The sun coming up in the morning, whether it made me feel any warmer or not, it gave me that illusion of warmth. It was more time behind me. Every time you get to eat 4 times a day, and as long as you keep eating, the instructors leave you alone. I would eat nonstop carbohydrates because I was trying to keep my energy up. There might be some cute little Filipino girl I could make smile going through the chow line, and that always, made me, I could look forward to that. It was something positive. The instructors, they used to call my low life. I can't believe you're still here, low life. Just their recognition, I could turn into something positive. If somebody else quit, at least I was better than them. And that's the kind of mentality that it takes to get through that, or anything. If you there's a gymnasium or a parking lot full of people, and somebody comes along with enough enthusiasm and says, "Come on, let's go!" The majority are going to follow to a point. If you get somebody who isn't moving off their square, that's another leader. That's somebody who's already got their plan in their mind, and you got to go to them and say, "Listen, if you can go with me, we'll get you to where you want to go faster." Then they'll lead from the front. Those ones that stop halfway, they don't have a dream. They don't have a destination. So any little resistance, any little pebble in the road, all right, is going to make them stop because they don't have anything that's worth enough to make that effort. Okay, so it's not that important to them. But if somebody's got they're driven. They know what they're after. Nothing's going to stop them. There ain't no mountain for a climber, right? That used to hear that all. One of the senior executives at the company back when I was in San Diego used to say it to me all the time. Ain't no mountain for a climber. When the instructors were yelling at me and screaming at me, and they weren't putting their fists on me like my stepdad was when I was a kid. You know, they you know they weren't. I knew they couldn't whip me. They weren't Roy Jones Sr., right? And they couldn't. And he respected me, and he let me know that, right? And I respected him, and they couldn't overshadow that connection I had with them. They couldn't diminish his belief in me and my belief in him, his belief in me. So that's what it took. That's what it takes to get through things when things don't go right, and things are hard, and there's no clear path. You've got to figure it out. All right, you're herding cats. All right, as a kid in school, we grew up in an area where hunting was a big deal. If you had good enough grades, you could get the first week off or second week off for deer season, whatever you chose. Well, I didn't have good enough grades, and I'm sitting in class, and there's a blizzard, like 3 feet of brand new snow. I see this hunter come walking out of the woods with 6 cats following him in a single file line. And my scoutmaster told me that the cats flush out deer. But for decades, I'm like, how did he get them to follow him in a single file line? And I went out to do anti-piracy security in the Indian Ocean in 2011. And the guy that recruited me was also one of my Navy SEAL, my BUDS instructors, and also was the chief of training at SEAL Team 4 when I was there. And I when he came down to Panama, and when I was there, his platoon and I did a lot of stuff together. And so we knew each other pretty good. And I was telling him this, and he's like, following that hunter's footsteps in that new snow was probably the easiest path. And that's when it hit me. The only way you can herd cats is you have to lead from the front, and they have to have no other option. Okay. What it is you got to want it bad enough, right? And you got to see that that path that you're on is going to take you to where you want to go, right? And when you have this matrix in your mind, and everybody has it, your amygdala, it protects you, it's there to protect you. And so when you look at your situation, by doing nothing, am I better off or worse than if I do something, even if I fail? If you're no worse off by attempting something and failing, then that part of your brain looks at doing nothing as the bad thing. It looks at that as the danger, and it'll help you get past whatever little bump in the road that's slowing you down or stopping you in your momentum. Okay. So with that said, it's all in this internal mechanism. You're not going to stop me. I don't care how big and bad you think you are or whatever it is. What I've been through, if you ain't got a gun, and even if you do, you better be faster than me. Okay? You're not going to stop me. All right? There's nothing that's too insurmountable for me to get by, right? Or through or over or around. I'm going to figure it out, right? And that's what it takes to be successful.